Sup nerds, for those of you who have been watching my videos for a while now, probably know that I have been looking for a second MMO to keep up with aside from Fallout 76. I kinda struck out with New World because they called it quits, even though I put 400 plus hours in it, so yeah, that's all gone down the drain, and it sucks, but it happens. But since then I've been having some sort of commitment issue with most games I play. Don't know if it's some sort of post-trauma kind of deal, but I've been playing a few games here and there, but for the most part I've had not much to make videos on aside from Fallout 76 and a little bit of Arc Raiders. So I will talk about a MMO that I played the most from these games that I played on and off, even though I haven't done everything that he has to offer, which is usually one of my requirements before making a video, because I mean I did put 52 hours in it and I might not play this again, so might as well get this video out before I quit this, yeah? So let's talk about DC Universe Online through the eyes, of course, of a serial collector. And this is well, very different from the usual MMOs that I often play, which are mostly always medieval fantasy or sci-fi. But I am a huge comic book nerd, so I wasn't off-put by the idea of a DC Universe MMO. And that really is the biggest selling point here in this game, that this is a DC universe and that you can be a hero or a villain in said universe alongside your favorite heroes and or villains. That said, this is a game from 2011. January 11, 2011 was when this came out, so it has been 15 years since this game came out, and honestly it does show. The graphics feel sorta outdated, though they aren't too bad to look at, I guess, and though this is a tap targeting combat system, the game does try to make it seem like it's not by making left click the attack, right click a ranged attack, and then the skills on the skill bar, also just pressing them, does make you cast that skill even when there's no targets in front of you. But because it is pretty old, it is still pretty obvious that it is tap targeting, because when there is an enemy in front of you, it does show you which one you are targeting. So the combat, you know, it's not super terrible, but it is obvious that it's not that great. At least you can move with WASD, which back then was not even the standard for MMOs, as it was mostly click to move. And now that I'm talking about it, I guess I'm not too sure what it is that makes this feel so old-timey. There isn't just one thing, I guess. The animation of the characters definitely feels more exaggerated and unnatural, but this too, to be fair, was the norm for MMOs back then. But also, the UI, the menu, games that are more modern try to go for a more minimalist thing, where the borders are thinner, transparent, so that you can see more of the game itself instead of the UI. But here, as you can see, everything is very bold, everything is thick, everything is right on your face with a tacky blue and yellow or white colors. If that doesn't scream old school, I don't really know what does. So the game is old, we have established that, but I find myself that I don't really mind in that regard, because I am a old timer. Some of the MMOs I spent the most time on are old school, things like Lineage 2 and Mu Online. I have spent literal years in there, but evidently it is not everyone's cup of tea now, so I do think it's something worth mentioning. That said, the character customization is actually pretty decent, though you do get more options the more you play. But right off the bat here, you can see that a lot of the stuff here in this character creation is behind a paywall. And that definitely is something that wasn't the norm back in 2011. A few years after, for sure. Around 2015-2016 is when microtransactions really kicked in, so I assume these things were included after the game was launched. And I'm honestly not a huge fan of that. Of course, if you really do want something specific, namely powers, which obviously is very important for making a superhero character, instead of having to buy specific powers, which can cost a lot if you want to make several different heroes with different powers, but you can just get their subscription, which is cheaper and unlocks all of the powers and character slots while you are paying for those subscriptions, which is called legendary membership, or the Daybreak all access subscription, which gives you access to the premium in all of their games apparently. I'm not too sure how that works, it's kinda unintuitive, but yeah. And also, I didn't know this, but without paying you can only create 2 characters. And I found that out right now by trying to create another character here for this video and realizing I can only have 2. But yeah, I have friends who, while they had the subscription, made all the heroes that they could think of using all the different powers, so that even if they weren't going to play with all of them, just in case in the future they wanted to play a character with said power, they wouldn't have to pay for the subscription again. Not only that, but you can see right here in the character selection that you can boost your character level, of course, with money. So at least some pay for convenience there, right off the bat. Not only that, but there is daily login rewards, and if you are paying for the subscription, you do get more stuff, including these fate tokens, which on a free account you only get one on your 21st day in a total of 30 days, where with a sub you get one every week. And there are quite a few neat stuff that are sold for Fate tokens from Dr. Fate, including many exclusive skins. Speaking of which, skins. Whatever equipment that you get and equip at least once unlocks that style or skin for that specific character. To unlock it with your other characters, you will either need to find that item with that character as well, or use replay tokens, which sounds like a good alternative, especially if you got some event exclusive items on a character and you just created a new character who would be perfect with that one specific item. But replay tokens cannot be acquired in any free alternative way. It has to be purchased from the store or from paying for their subscription. So really the only way to get cosmetic freedom is if you pay. But speaking of cosmetics, most of the stuff that you get from random monster drops are just mostly standard stuff and not from any known heroes slash villains. From specific quests, you can get very few items that are in fact from known heroes and villains, like I got Supergirl's boots on one of the earlier quests, and there are a few others which escape my mind now, but it is very few. And if you want to make an existing hero look alike, you will need to either, again, buy from the store or get from their capsules, which are like little loot boxes that you get from these interactive things all around the map, really. And it is not random which capsule that you get. It is a periodic rotation. I forget what the time period is, maybe monthly, but yeah, for that time period, you will only get that same capsule over and over. So if you want a specific piece of cosmetic, well, tough luck. But even if by some crazy cosmic luck, the capsule you get does have the cosmetic that you want, tough luck again, because chances are you won't see it, because to open them you need stabilizers. But as a free-to-play player, you need to do a specific daily activity called stabilizer fragment something to get stabilizer fragments. And you need to get a certain amount for the fragments to become full stabilizers. So it will take you a few days to get one stabilizer. And if it is a normal capsule, it will need one stabilizer to open the capsule. But in some months, you do get mega capsules, and for those, you do need 7 stabilizers to open just one. Well, you do get 7 little capsules inside that one mega capsule. So in the end, it is worth it, I guess. But it is that many days that you will need to keep doing that activity in order to get that many fragments to make the stabilizers. And sometimes opening these won't even get you any rare items. So yeah, as a free-to-play collector, this is honestly pretty terrible, because the chances that you will ever finish a whole set as a free-to-play player from these capsules is near zero. Sure, sometimes you can search the community market to get some of the cosmetics from other players, but as a free-to-play player, you have a limit on how much in-game money you can have at once, and all the good stuff are sold there for much more than that. So yeah, good luck with that as well. If you pay real money, not only can you buy the capsules themselves, but also you can buy the stabilizers, so you can open a bunch in a single day until you get the stuff you want. So yeah, you can still make do with the stuff that you get around for free, because the free stuff are also not too bad. Like I said, most of them are standard stuff, so you will have to get creative to get closer to the look that you want, or change the way that your hero looks in order to make them look the best they can with the stuff you have. That said, this game has a lot of events, and from these events, if you do all the dailies every day, you can often get at least one full set of event cosmetics, sometimes even 2. And so that's a good way to get a specific look, and there are usually more than 2 sets that you can get in an event using that event's tokens. But then when the event ends and you don't have all of them, it does make you feel some FOMO, which I'm always against. Some of the players in global chat have informed me that these events do come around usually at some point or another if you play long enough. So you might be able to get all of these event specific outfits, which is good. I do appreciate that. But also from my personal experience, it is still important that before you decide on which of these outfits you want to get using your event tokens, be sure to check how they look before you commit. Because I got this enhanced Dr. Fate outfit, and honestly, it does not look anything like Dr. Fate. This helmet looks pretty terrible. I do like the yellow magic circles on the hands and chest, so I will still use them for my magic user character. But honestly, I should have checked before, because this helmet, I can't. That said, I was fortunate enough to be around for the events which gave us the White Lantern ring and the Blue Lantern ring, which is not a cosmetic at all, but it does give you new powers related to the rings. I did have to farm dailies quite a bit to get these, but because I did so, I can have this on my second character as well. So that's awesome, but also the FOMO was definitely there while I was farming all those dailies every day for like a month. It became a chore. But if you pay real money, of course, you can skip all the farming for these events as well, which I don't think there's anything in this game that you can't skip or speed up with money in this game. So, you know, it's a little iffy, but it is what it is, I guess. But anyway, the story here, you'd expect it would be fantastic since these are based on comic book characters. But aside from the initial cutscene and the premise of the game, which is pretty nice, pretty dark, I do like that, most of the quests I've seen so far have been pretty generic, pretty weak quest lines if I say so myself. Most of them are quite bread and butter. Defeat so many so-and-so enemies, bring back so much items that drop from so-and-so enemies, use this item on so-and-so enemies, or destroy so many weapons or equipments that are guarded by so-and-so enemies. Once in a while, you do go into instance missions, which kind of feels like dungeons in other games, I guess, and those are slightly better because there is a boss, and then like you kind of chase them around this whole dungeon. There is a narrative to that actually, and them doing whatever nefarious things they're doing, and then you try to stop them. But still, is not a game that I was super excited about continuing the storyline. And a lot of the events as well, even though I did enjoy the events a little more, they also do feel like they're continuations of previous events, I think, because the way they talk to you is like you have been there before, and that some of the characters that are shown there are talked about as if you should already know who they are. And I guess as a comic book nerd, that is not really an issue if you know a lot of the obscure characters, but I wonder if people who don't read comic books would find these missions okay. Or, I mean, maybe if you don't read comics, maybe you wouldn't be here playing at all. So, I don't know. That said, there's definitely a lot to do. I'm level 28, though the level cap is 30, I think. I haven't seen even half of the cities in this game. And they're all pretty big, I think, and connected for the most part. So you can go from one city to the next flying or running. It will just take you a long time. And so fast traveling is probably preferred, but I still thought it was pretty cool to explore the different cities. And also in every city, there is a booster gold machine thing, which gives you quests that takes you around, kind of gives you a tour in every city. So that's pretty cool, I thought, and it does give you some accessories, though most of them are kind of useless by the time you are doing those quests. But yeah, every city is pretty different and have specific vibes, which I do think is really cool. Like Gotham City, super cool. Almost felt like I was back in Arkham City again. But yeah, several different cities you could go, and several periodic events, and even more stuff that different NPCs tells you that you can do, which I haven't done yet, honestly. My OCD tells me that I have to do all the campaign missions in every city before I do this extra stuff, so sorry for my shortcoming on that part. But like I mentioned, had I waited to make this video after I do everything like I usually do, it definitely would have taken forever, and I'm not sure that I'll be sticking around that much longer because of all the shortcomings that I have mentioned before. Because honestly, in the end of the day, I am a serial collector. I need to collect stuff. But the key emphasis here is that I'm a free-to-play serial collector. And I just feel like in this particular game, not only am I super limited in the things that I can have access to, but also it would take an impossibly long time to only get even the stuff that I want, much less everything that the game has to offer. And I do love superheroes. I did enjoy the 50 some hours that I spent here, but a lot of it have already started to feel like a chore. And I keep feeling FOMO every time a capsule goes out of rotation, every time an event ends, etc, etc. Even though theoretically I know that they will come back around, I don't really want to be here for that much longer, like a whole year, just to get those things that I missed out on again, which even then I probably won't be able to finish everything. Because at the end of the day, though I like farming and grinding in order to collect everything I can, like I do in most of my videos in this channel, I do have my limits when things just feel like they were designed to make you specifically spend your money on them. I just can't help but lose my interest. It feels like a rigged system. So yeah, the cool thing though is that I can play these on my ROG Ally, which an MMO using gamepad and playing it on the couch or the bed, it's fantastic stuff. And since most of the quests are pretty short here, sometimes on a short break I will go in and do a mission or two, and that can be pretty fun and enjoyable. Not to mention, this is a very non-demanding game, so even if you have one of those weaker handheld PCs, this should work. So in conclusion, it is not a bad game if you like DC Comics. There is definitely a lot to see in do here. It's just not really a great game regardless of comics, and just not really great for free-to-play players. Like, yes, there's still a lot to do as a free-to-play player, but you can definitely see the limitations they set on there for you. And I do understand pay for convenience, but at least in this game in specific, it does feel like a lot of the system here revolves around trying to make you spend your money. It is definitely one of those cases where they create the problem to sell the solution. And that doesn't really feel great in any game whatsoever. But if you don't mind paying a few bucks, I'm sure your experience in the game will be very different from mine. So if you think it's worth it, then sure, go ahead. I'm not your mom. But yes, this has been my experience in DC Universe Online as a free-to-play serial collector. So tell me, have you played this game before, or are you planning to play this game at some point in your life? Let me know in the comments down below, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, consider helping the channel out by clicking join down below to become a member, subscribe to see more videos like this, and of course, always nerd on.